Okay, there we are. Okay, well, welcome, beloveds, to our spring equinox gathering and renewal. And I am just so honored to be here with you all and to be here with you, Laura. Like, it's just such a pleasure and a joy. So
Yeah, thank you. Likewise.
we were just saying, because we're in the middle of Mercury retrograde, a spring equinox, we've got this super full moon, that there's a lot of energy. And we actually wanted to do it where I was at a sacred site, and I was on my way there. And then we are like, technically it may not work. So let's do it here, and then maybe next time.
Yeah,
Try it out.
it
So
was presenting clear issues, so we decided to go with this plan for safety.
what we knew would work.
Yes.
So, beloveds, like how our time will flow together is, first of all, I'm going to open sacred space and talk a little bit about the spring equinox as it relates to Ireland, and the kind of Celtic traditions. And then Laura is going to share her magic, and then we're going to share a ritual, and then there'll be some journaling and everything for everyone to do, right?
Yeah, that would be great to have a journal.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to invite you, beloveds, to just gently close your eyes and just bring your awareness to your heart center. And then I'm going to invite you to take a big, deep inhale at your hearts and draw your breath in at your heart, but just bring it all the way up to the crown of your head. And then just hold that breath, hold it for a moment. Now, whenever you're ready with a big exhale, just let it go. And the breath is the most powerful catalyst to just drop us into this present moment. And what is this spring equinox inviting us to do? It's inviting us to really come into balance and connecting with the natural rhythms of nature. So I'm going to invite you to take another deep inhale at your hearts, drawing your breath all the way up to the crown of your head, and just hold it for a moment, allowing that energy to build. It's almost like allowing the fire, the sun, which the spring equinox is that, the sun coming back out. And then whenever you're ready with an exhale, just exhaling your breath all the way back out. And let's do one more deep inhale together. So inhaling, drawing your breath up, all the way up to the crown of your head, holding your breath, and then exhale. Exhaling your breath all the way out, and just allowing yourself, giving yourself permission that if you've chosen to be here, you're in the perfect place to allow yourself this gift of presence, and to connect with thousands of years of our ancestors, our sisters, our mothers that have gathered to honor this sacred day together, and the power of the unity of that. So just bring your awareness to your heart center and just feeling your heart beating. And then just take another deep inhale and exhale. And then I'm going to invite you to send a grounding cord at the base of your spine and just send it deep, deep down into the heart of Mother Earth. Sending it deep, deep down wherever you are, just sending that cord deep down. And allowing yourself to connect with Mother Earth, Mama Pacha, Gaia's 4 billion years of wisdom. 4 billion years of this cycle, on this day of the Earth waking back up. After her giving herself permission to go inwards, to be still, to hibernate, to let go, to pause and reflect. So as you send your energy down through the foundation of wherever you are, and down through the layers of the soil and the rock and the rubble and perhaps bones and whatever is beneath us, deep, deep down to reach the very, very heart of Mother Earth. And you know the second you've reached her, because there's just a sense of coming home. Coming home and allowing yourself that connection of that energy that sustains us every second of every day. So taking another deep breath, inhale and exhale. And as you connect now with the womb of Mother Earth, Allow yourself to feel the connection of all the water, every well, every river, every lake, every drop of rain. Because water has this ability to carry consciousness, to remind us to go with the flow, to not allow things to block our energy. It allows us to be purified and sustains us. So feeling the water within you and the water within the earth, and feeling the bathe and the coolness that the water gives us. And then feeling your connection with the trees, the roots that go deep down into the earth. And the roots is our ancestors, our ancestors that have walked the path before us. So as we connect with our roots, it allows us to be more grounded in all that we do and all that we are, and that we feel that sense of home within us no matter where we are in the world. And then that trunk of the tree really represents us in our present day. And then as the branches reach up, they represent our children, our children's children, the next generations. So the trees have such powerful symbology for us. If you looked at them in the autumn as they let go of their leaves, and then the winter they allow themselves permission to be completely still. And now it's spring and the buds are coming out and they're blossoming. And that's the beauty of nature. It has these cycles and it knows what it needs, and it does exactly what it needs, and it doesn't ask for permission, and it doesn't feel guilty, and it's actually not even rushing around doing things. It just does everything in this divine timing. So feeling your connection with the trees and with these rocks that hold ancient wisdom. Rocks have this ability to ground and stabilize us. So feeling your connection with the rocks and the soil and the earth. And then feeling your connection with everything above you. The stars, the cosmos, the moon, this abundant full moon that is shining down upon us. So now that you've made this beautiful connection with the earth, we're going to invite our energy back up and enter it in through the soles of our feet, in through the base of our spine. And with our breath, allow that earth energy to channel all the way up through our body, all the way up to the crown of our head. And then feeling our connection with our higher selves, with a higher level of consciousness. Feeling your connection with your higher self, and then just bring your awareness back down to your heart. And now I would like to open our sacred space with calling in, evoking our guides, and calling in the directions. So calling in the direction of the south, of the fire, of action and passion and life force. And calling in the direction of the east, of new beginnings, of this time of the spring equinox, when things start to blossom. Calling in the direction of the north, of water, of yin, of time of reflection. And then calling in the direction of the west, which is a time of letting go, when the sun sets. Calling in below and above and the center. And then I like to invoke some Irish goddesses, and I would like to do some of it in Gaelic, which is our native tongue, our mother tongue over here. So Ichleam Ban Fasa, Ichleim Farfasa, Ichleim Boam, Ichleim Kaliak, Ichleim Janu, Ichleim the Tua the Danan, Ichleim Kolsha, Agus Fur, Ichleim Pina. Calling in all of our guides that would like to be here with us from a heavenly realm for the highest good. Calling, I invite you to take a moment now to call in your guides. The guides that are here to raise your consciousness and raise the consciousness on the planet and help ground and bring us even more into alignment with peace and who we truly are, and knowing that sense of unity. And now I would like for us to call in our ancestors, calling in our ancestors. And to call in our ancestors, I'm going to invite you to do a practice where you say your name and you can voice it now. I am Amanda Collins, and I invite you to voice that now. And then I am the daughter of Linda Sophia Farthing. I am, so I'm going to invite you to repeat that with who you're the daughter of. And then I am the granddaughter of Josephine Farthing. And then if you know your great grandmother, and as far back as you know, I'm going to invite you to call in, and then just take a moment to call in upon your ancestors. And it's almost so you can feel them all coming in behind you. So just opening our sacred space, calling in our guides. And that's the powerful thing about ceremony. So then I'm going to invite you to float your hands to your heart center. And I'm going to invite you to see yourself standing at a sacred site. And the one that I'm going to bring in the energy of now is the one over here in Ireland that is aligned with the spring equinox. There is other sites, but this one dates back over 5,000 years, and it's older than the pyramids. And just think, our ancestors have been doing ritual and ceremony there on the spring equinox as well as throughout the rest of the year, honoring the sacredness of cycles, of our cycles. And then, so it's this beautiful, what looks like a fairy mound, and it's actually a cairn. You can go inside, and then there's all these cairns around. And so I'm going to invite you just to feel yourself in this energy of this place called Lochcrew. And then there's this ley line that runs out the door and links with Newgrange and all the sacred sites around the world, from Stonehenge to the pyramids to every single sacred site around the world. So as we stand on this ley line, and these ley lines have the ability to magnify any of our intentions, to magnify healing. So as we feel that energy of standing upon this ley line, an ancient Irish tradition back in mythology that used to happen is the woman, the goddess, would shapeshift into the hare, like the rabbit, the one that stands tall with the tall ears. And if you think about the hare, it has this amazing ability to be completely still and present, and then move whenever it needs to. If you ever look at a hare, how it moves, it zigzags. And so this powerful day that we stand together, I invite you to feel yourself on this ley line, and then allowing your energy to shape shift into this hare energy, and then allow yourself to move down this energy line, this powerful energy line. And just take a moment to notice how you feel moving down this energy line, and how are you moving? Are you going straight down this energy line? Are you zigzagging? And they say in ancient Irish traditions that whatever way you make your way down this energy line is a symbol of the year ahead. So just, if it was a straight line, maybe that's like clarity into something. If it's zigzag, exploring and think about life. I mean, the labyrinth itself represents, it's not just straight lines. So if you felt the zigzagging, just allow yourself to be with that and notice that. And just to feel the energy of the ley line. So just putting your hands to your heart center as you stand at this power site, and this very, very powerful site. And here we are in this energy of this super full moon. I think they call it the worm moon as well. And this spring equinox together with this unity consciousness. I invite you now to set your intention for this spring equinox, this next cycle, the year ahead. So just take a moment now to set an intention, and perhaps it's just a feeling that you'd like to feel. And then I'm going to invite you to just gently open your eyes. And if you want to write that word or sentence or whatever came out in your journal, that would be amazing. So I'm going to invite beautiful Laura to share. I'm going to unmute myself here. So I'll just.
Thank you, Amanda. So beautiful. I feel standing in that exact site. I can feel it. And that is a site that we'll be going to as well, right? This summer together. So I felt it in my whole body. I would like to invite, if anybody wants to put your word, even type it in, your word of intention, perhaps even type it for us to see in the chat box. You're welcome to do that. Thank you so much, Amanda. That was really beautiful. So I'm going to just I'm going to give you a little bit of mind information, not much, because I'm really loving this space that we're in. And I was going to teach some things, but I don't want to take us out of this juicy space. It's so good. So I'm just going to share a couple of things and take us right into some journaling and a little bit of a process around how we can use the energy of this equinox to support us in our personal and physical and like spiritual intentions. Like we just set an intention, right? I see them on the side here: balance, peace and harmony, rebirth. Now I'll tell you, for me, the spring equinox has almost felt more like a new year, almost more like a time for setting New Year's resolutions, even than the new year for me, because the energy of the season is so powerful that we're leaving a time of darkness and more cold and wintry feeling into the promise of warmth and spring. And so there's such a support from nature around us in this rebirth energy. And this is something, as Amanda spoke to, she spoke to the Irish traditions. I'm just going to give a few of the other ones. That for thousands of years, the equinox has been celebrated all over the world, right? As a time of rebirth and renewal, as an opportunity to step into something new that we want to create, or to resurrect an intention or a dream that perhaps we let get buried down deep, and necessarily so perhaps in the winter, right? Perhaps we let things become a little more dormant and go to sleep. And I love the words that Amanda said, this like permission to actually be in rest. And that's what the winter time represents, is this permission to be in rest. And now, as we come into the spring, it's permission to let ourselves blossom again. And people all over the world have celebrated this. So the megalithic people in Europe, they calculated the spring equinox with circular monuments and huge stones, right? We have Stonehenge too. And the Germanic tribes associated it with the fertility goddess Ostara, right? So this time represents fertility and tapping into our fertility. And the Mayans, they used Chichen Itza. I've been there before. It's a magnificent pyramid, and that was designed to produce a serpent shadow on the day of the equinox. The ancient Saxons had a feast for their version of the fertility goddess, and celebrated on the full moon. And we're so lucky that today is also the full super moon, so it just adds all of this extra intentional energy into what we're doing today. So this was a time of celebration for so many cultures, and fertility and abundance. And so let's take all of that energy into these intentions that we've set, and into what does this mean symbolically and spiritually for me, right? What can this mean for me? How can you use this energy to fuel your own rebirth and renewal? And there's something I want to mention, because I know that Amanda's going to share a little ritual with us later that's going to tie this in. But this really precious idea around a time of rebirth and renewal being very sacred and being very precious, and that it's something that sometimes needs to be guarded. in a healthy way, with healthy boundaries, right? When we are blossoming into a new skill or a new part of ourselves or a new understanding of ourselves, that it can be a very precious time, and that we create healthy boundaries for ourselves in those times of transformation. And I love the analogy. I remember I had a very real experience of this when I was a child, but the analogy I remember being told as a child, whenever you see a baby bird hatching out of its egg, don't help it. Whatever you do, leave it alone. It needs to grow the muscles and the strength and use its little beak to poke itself out, and you cannot help it or disturb it, or it could actually hurt the baby bird. It may not develop the muscles to be able to fly one day. And so we actually have to protect that time of hatching, right, from our shell and breaking free, and that it's a time that we deserve, and we deserve to have a precious, healthy boundary around it. And so I know that Amanda's going to share a little ritual around that as well later on, but it's just speaking to that idea that when we're going through growth and change and healing, that it's a very precious time that deserves our awareness and full attention. And that sometimes can be, during the winter when we're in our time of stillness and darkness and going within, like that can be the precious time of healing that really needs guarding and protection. And equally so is the time of rebirth and renewal. So after a season like we've just been through, I know many people here in the States, I don't know about you, Amanda, over there in Ireland, but we have had quite a winter here. Right? We've had quite a winter physically here in the season, and there's been just incredible snowstorms and rainstorms in California. Like we actually feel like we've had a winter here. There's actually been frost.
Isn't that beautiful?
There was snow in LA, which is
That's
like
amazing.
marvelous. It was like one day for about 5 seconds, but still.
Well, ours has been very mild because we were snowed in for 2 weeks last year. So this year it was like a little 2 days of snow. So this year it was like, no, we hardly had a winter.
We haven't had it as much as we have here. I know my mom lives in Kansas. I'm from Kansas, and so I hear about the weather in the Midwest all the time, and it's been an intense winter. And, I will say that perhaps that also might relate emotionally and spiritually for some people. I know my family has just come out of a very intense time of winter and loss, and my husband lost his mother in the fall, and we went into a season of really like going into a season of darkness in a way, a time of loss. And this is the winter. This is what the winter symbolizes, is that we move through a time in our lives. We all do. It doesn't necessarily fall always in the winter time, but we go through seasons of loss, of challenge, of darkness, of change, and aligning ourselves with the cycles of nature gives us that reminder that the cycle will continue on and that the sun will return. Today is the day that teaches us on the spring equinox that the day and night are equal, and we are moving into more sunlight, and that there is the hope of the return of light and the return of warmth. And that's something that it's helped me so much in my own life, moving through struggles and challenges, to look at nature's hope, look at nature's messages. And so the first thing I just want to invite you to reflect on is what has been, if there has been for you, a season of winter, right? A season of challenges or darkness. Have you been through your own experience of winter, whether it be just this past winter or in the past year of some time? Was there any time for you that felt like you were really forced to go within, go into the darkness, go into a time of loss or change or the death of a part of yourself, right? It's not always the death of something outside of us, but a part of ourselves that is being asked to die. A part of ourselves that is being asked to be composted or to let die. And I'm curious, as we move into this exercise for you, to just take a moment and reflect on that. I invite you to close your eyes. And place your hands on your heart again, like we did here in the beginning. Just take a moment as we are on this day of rebirth and renewal, what perhaps has been my own winter, or challenge? What is being asked to be composted or returned to the earth as I move into this time of rebirth and renewal? Not to say we have to be over it or fixed or changed or all better. It's not any sort of like spiritually bypassing something that's not real for you. It's just recognizing the cycle of what perhaps is ready to be returned. What is ready? What are we ready to surrender and turn over to move into this time of rebirth and renewal? I want you to take a few moments to be with that. And if you'd like to write anything down, you're welcome to in your journal. About 1 minute or so. What has been my own personal winter? What challenges have I faced? What am I ready to surrender, compost back into the earth so that I can move into this season of rebirth? So then moving into this intention and this potent energy of rebirth right now. And as the cycles of natures remind us that our dreams and our visions and our hopes and our desires, they may go into hibernation and they may go into sometimes a time of dormancy, necessarily so. And that's just as the earth has to rest so she can gain her strength and be able to blossom fully again in the spring. We sometimes have to put some of our big goals or big intentions that we think should move very quickly, or we think it should have happened last year or 10 years ago. But nature teaches us that it's perfect. The cycle is absolutely perfect. It happens as it's supposed to, in the right timing. We can't force it. I love that Amanda said that. Like we learn that we can't force things to change, that they happen in their own right timing. And so I love the quote by George Eliot, "It's never too late to be what you might have been." Some of those intentions or dreams or goals that we've been waiting, or that we think are perhaps, oh, it's too late for that, or I missed that boat. What can we bring into our awareness as a reigniting of our desires, of our dreams, of our hopes, of what it is we know we are creating in Goddesses, God's perfect timing? And so that's the next question, is what is asking from your soul, from your higher self that we've tapped into, and from Mother Earth beneath you, from that deepest wisdom inside you, what is asking to be reborn and resurrected and brought forth in this season right now? And it might not be what you expect. So just trust yourself, trust what comes forth. What is asking from within you to be resurrected and reborn? Rather than using your head, feel into your heart for this. call upon the wisdom of your ancestors and your guides that we've already invoked for this process, that are right there supporting you, wanting your highest good, wanting your happiness and joy in this life. Calling on their wisdom, what is asking to be resurrected and reborn within me? What is fertile and alive and juicy at this time for me? And remembering the symbolism of the seed, right? That sometimes in the spring, when it's springtime, but we're still feeling frost and cold and it doesn't feel like it, but that seed holds the promise, right? The seed holds the promise of a blossoming. And so now can even be that symbolism of planting the seed and giving it time to germinate and blossom. Planting the seed of what is wanting to become alive, fertilized, realized, expressed in you. What new energy or past energy wants to be resurrected? Take a couple minutes for this. And if at any point you feel stuck, just bringing your hands back to your heart, taking a few deep breaths, listening. We've invoked some powerful energy today to be with us and support us. So trusting in that and just taking a few deep breaths. Even just holding the intention for a rebirth and renewal, even if you're not clear right here and now what that looks like, that it will come. Just setting the intention itself is so powerful. So with your hands at your heart, I'm going to invite you to take a few full deep breaths and know that after we complete today, you are welcome to continue journaling and writing and anything else you'd like to come through on these questions. You're welcome to return to them. So placing your hands at your heart, taking a few deep breaths, and imagine that from your heart, you pull this beautiful golden seed, a seed that represents your intentions that you've brought through today. It represents your own rebirth and renewal that is blossoming in the spring. And I want you to imagine, as Amanda called forth that beautiful earth all around you, that you place that seed right down into the moist, warm earth, and you water it with the water of love and sacred boundaries and healing and self-expression and any other words that you want to water that seed with. Place it into the earth. Your hands can then place above the earth in that mound of warm soil that you've just placed it within, and blessing your intentions, allowing the full moon to shine bright down on that sacred golden seed of rebirth and renewal. And take a full deep breath. And exhale, surrendering and letting it go and turning it over. And so it is, and so it shall be. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I'm going to turn it back over to Amanda to share with us a couple of other magical pieces for this spring equinox.
Thank you, Laura. That was so, so beautiful. And that's just so important to pause. And, it's like we're so busy rushing around. Just to stop and on a soul level ask ourselves these questions. So thank you. That was so beautiful. And, it's amazing. I'm looking at some of the trees right now and the blossoms are there. And it's like all those things that we've been planting seeds for, they're starting to blossom at their own pace, whatever that pace is so perfect. And I think it's also so important that we look at, what have I done? Like, because I think we're always so quick to, I know for me, even to rush on, okay, the next thing, but it's like, oh, let's just pause and look at all. And even if it's like, how amazing am I that I rested the whole winter? Like that's something to celebrate right there.
Yes, absolutely is.
So,
And necessary for, it's necessary, not even like it's necessary for the spring to blossom. So.
and it's so perfect because my parents have an organic sheep farm down the road, and 3 of the first lambs were born today. So,
Of
I mean,
course.
like, they're right on time. They're not trying it like, oh, we better hurry up. The calendar says. They're just like, oh, it's spring. We can allow ourselves to be the full bounty of it all.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and
Could it get any more magical and idyllic?
my daughter's calling one of them Pinky. Patrick's calling one of them Runner, and I think Fluffy. So.
That's amazing.
So I wanted to speak to a couple of rituals. There's so many beautiful rituals, and what we're doing right now is a ritual. We're being in circle with each other, honoring each other and our intentions and the earth and the magic. And I mean, this is it right here. But if you want a couple of other little ones, you probably see me sipping on this. Now you can see the nettles down there. So and actually I have a couple, perfect flower display, but these are nettles, right? So these come out, they just come out like in the last week or so. And I love it because it's like a priestess ritual of mixing medicine and magic, right? Because they say like 3 nettle teas in the spring, because they're so potent, will literally block any kind of a cold or anything the whole rest of the year. They are so, like, talk about super duper duper food, like vitamin A, B, C, and just like amazing for you. But what's really interesting about them is, I don't know if you're able to see, but there's tiny, tiny little pins on them that actually sting you really badly and they blister you. So it's so interesting that these beauties here that are so amazing for you, they're representing, like Laura was speaking to, which is so amazing, is boundaries. Because when we plant our seeds, like there has to be healthy boundaries until those seeds become really strong, or just healthy boundaries in order to be our greatest selves and to be of service in the greatest way. Like, because if we're always exhausted, we're not really any use to anybody. So these beauties really, really represent healthy boundaries, because they're like, yes, I will give of myself, I will be of service, but you have to respect this, you have to respect me. So the little ceremony is, if you're anywhere that rains a lot, hence Ireland, they're going to grow amazingly. But they grow all over. They grow in San Diego. They grow, all over the world. But they're very plentiful over here. And spring is when they come out. So I actually go foraging in the forests and I gather, because what's amazing is about 60% of what we see is edible, from beech leaves to nettles, dock leaves. Like, and what's amazing about Mother Nature is we have these nettles that sting us. If you're not aware, you actually can just eat them. You roll them up, and the sting part goes inside, and you chew them, which is, you have to be really careful when you do that. But what's amazing is what grows right next to these nettles is something called a dock leaf, and it's this huge, beautiful leaf, kind of looks a bit like that, but a bit wider. And Mother Nature is amazing, because the more connected we are to nature, to ourselves, to our higher selves, all the guidance and all the wisdom is right there. It's when we're always looking outside ourselves and we're always burnt out that we don't have that inner wisdom. So Mother Nature is always speaking to us and always guiding us. So these sting you, but what grows right next to the nature is the dock leaf. And all that you have to do is rub the dock leaf on you, and the sting is gone, the blister is gone. So, like thousands of years ago, we wouldn't be looking at clocks or watches or anything. We would just go, oh, I have this, I'm going to eat this, or I have this. And, we were just so connected to the earth and to each other. We'd sit around fire every day. And like we are now in circle, we would be together. And that's what allows us to thrive. So the ritual, mixing the priestess ritual, is just basically making a ceremonial, like I love doing tea ceremonies. I love tea. I'm Irish. We drink tea all day, every day. That's just how it is. But so I love to have the nettles in the center of the ceremony. And this is something you can do yourself, or you can do in a circle. And if you don't have nettles growing by, any local health food store will have, like, you can buy bags of nettles, like, and so amazing for you. So I highly suggest it. And then, I like to bless the water, and then have us all in a circle. You can do it by yourself, and bless the water, and then set the intention. Like, what is it, and in what areas of your life do you want to create healthy boundaries? Because, there's always some situation or something we give our power away, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. Like, there's people, they don't even ask for it, but we give our power away. Like, we've decided they're better than us, or this is their whatever it is, and we've just given it away. And so this is inviting us to reclaim all aspects of ourselves, and to know our own light and our own gifts, and to know that we are all connected, we're all equal. But then just having the nettle, and then as you sit upon it, and as you feel the warmth of the tea just move down to your body, and you actually feel the richness of what it's giving to your body, and the power of you setting really healthy boundaries, being really, really comfortable with speaking your truth wherever you need to, speaking your truth to people that you've needed to and you haven't, or just in general, not going around people pleasing or always saying yes when that's not your absolute truth. So these nettles right here are inviting you to speak your truth and create really, really healthy boundaries. So that's an invitation. And then the other very quick ritual is, if you have dew on the grass in the morning, well, this dew is like filled with, they call it like eternal youth over here. So you can go out and just put the dew on your face. And I mentioned today, somebody's like, I'm going to roll right out there naked. So whatever works, And so, and it was really funny because I was looking it up the other day, and I saw there's this makeup line where people are actually selling the dew. I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, there's a couple of rituals, and we're already doing our own beautiful ritual right here. So I am so grateful for everybody being here. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Laura.
Thank you so much. Those are awesome. I have a bag of nettle like this big that I got. You can get it on Amazon. You can get organic nettle for very cheap. So this is something that's very accessible. This is very accessible. And such a beautiful, important part of the blossoming and expanding into our fullest and true self is this idea of healthy boundaries and speaking our truth. So thank you so much for that. And so the other thing that we want to share about that is just something we are both bubbling and we are birthing in this spring, that's happening this summer, is we are co-facilitating a Priestess Remembrance retreat this summer. And as Amanda has been talking about the magic of Ireland, I know that I am just getting more and more excited to be there. And we're going to be practicing ritual, circle, visiting sacred sites, all these things that we've been talking about, aligning and attuning ourselves with the cycles of nature. Amanda and I very carefully chose the full moon, a time around the full moon this summer that we felt was going to be the most powerful and the most potent. And we are calling together a group of sisters. We are already over half full now, which is so amazing. We're so far away, and we're almost half full. And we are wanting to invite you to join us and to be a part of this beautiful Priestess Remembrance retreat with the intention of really not just discovering your feminine power and your goddess power, but we're actually holding the intention that it's a remembrance. It's not you're going out there to find it and that you have to go to Ireland to find it. It's that it is inside you, and that in this collective, in this beautiful experience that we're going to move through over 6 nights and 7 days, you're going to come home to a remembrance of who you are and a remembrance of this priestess, goddess, beautiful energy that all women have inside of us. And if you feel drawn to this pathway of of shining your light and being a healer and a leader and a mother and a teacher, or whatever it is, that this experience is going to really help you to embody and step into your beauty and your magnificence and your power as a priestess. And so is there anything else, Amanda, that you would like to say about it? I mean, oh my goodness, the place is...
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I could go on for hours, you know, like, but what I would like to say is the site that we're at today, we're basically going to these powerful sacred sites. And the land over here, it runs really, really deep. Yes, it's breathtakingly beautiful. Like, I'm like, oh, every day, all day, seriously. But there's such a richness and a depth to it. Like, it's known as one of the most mystical countries in the whole world. We have over 30,000 sacred sites, and ritual and ceremony is practiced like, it's like daily over here. You know, there's stone circles, and we'll be going to fairy forts and sacred wells and castles, and we'll have our own manor that we're staying at on a couple of acres. We'll have our own home cooked organic local meals. I mean, it's going to be pretty magical. But what I want to say is, you know, we'll have a couple of calls leading up to it, and we're going to, you know, be talking about what your intention for the journey is. Like, and then of course we detach. We know how that works, right? But setting that intention. So when you set that intention, the thing about the land over here is you set an intention. Okay, I'm ready to release this or step into this. The way it works is it's like, okay, I hear you, and you're not getting back on that plane until that's the case. But it's with absolute unconditional love, and we're going to dance in the forest, and we're going to chant and drum and do fire ceremonies or water ceremonies, and it's going to be really, really magical. And Laura, like, I'm just so excited to you know, be co-creating this together. So it's amazing.
Absolutely. We are soul sisters at the core. I can feel it. This dancing in magical forests is something we're going to do quite well together, and just inviting you to come and play with us. You know, like, it's going to be profound and deep and transformational and playful, like so playful, frolicking in forests and experiencing magic. You know, that's the word that just keeps, that's the guiding word that's come through for me on this retreat, is pure magic. That we are opening up the possibility and expanding complete, like, receptivity to pure magic. And we would love for you to join us. So we are extending our early bird for a little bit longer. Amanda, do we say until March? What's today? Today's the 20th. Until March, what should we say? We extended it a little bit longer. You think till March 25th? Till
Yeah,
March 25th.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's what we said. Yeah.
So March 25th, we are still offering our early bird, which is $2,900 for the all-inclusive. Like, I think that's incredible, honestly. When Amanda told me that that's what we charge for, I was like, that's amazing, because it's all-inclusive except for your airfare.
And that is really nice, though, because you'll arrive in, you'll be picked up from the airport. You know, it's like, because you don't want to have to come be worrying about where do I go and where do, you know, be picked up on a coach to this beautiful manor. And then, like, when we go to our sacred sites, the coach will be there waiting for us, and your meals will be ready. You know, it's just like, and then it just allows you to be in joy and relaxation, and again, letting the magic happen.
Right. I mean, it's really nothing you have to think about once you arrive, except, like, how much delicious food can I put in my stomach, and how much joy can I experience. So it's like everything is done. And Amanda, you've been doing this for years. Like, you've been leading retreats and events over there for years. So just the experience, and you being in your homeland, and we're so blessed that you know these secret and sacred places that you're going to take.
I would say probably more lifetimes, but yes, years.
Lifetimes, yes.
And I mean, I know it like the back of my hand, all the sites, and, you know, it's like home. It is home, but, you know, it's just that they call to you. And the thing about this is, we're speaking of it now, but you just know on a soul level. That's all there is to it. You just know, I know I'm meant to be there. I don't need to think about it. I don't, like, I've had people show up on the retreats and like, I don't actually know where I'm going. I just knew I had to get into Dublin Airport at this time. And they're just like,
Yes, that's what's been happening so far with the women who are signing up. It's just a soul knowing. So if you're feeling that, I want to encourage you to join now, because you can put down a deposit to secure the lower price, and you can also make a payment in full to save $400. So I'm going to put a link right here in the chat box to the site where you can register. Let me put it here.
And I see that somebody has raised their hand.
Oh, okay.
Sinead, do you want to type, hi Sinead, hi love. Do you want to type in the box there?
You have a question?
Question, yeah. And Laura, oh, thank you for adding that link. That's great.
And we'll also send it out, right, in the replay. We'll send out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Put it in the Facebook.
Yeah. Is there any questions before we kind of close Sacred Space? Is there any questions? Please feel free to type it in there. No questions. Oh, thank you for being here, Sinead. Lovely to connect with you on this sacred day.
Yes. Okay. So please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are happy to support you. And I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Okay, Amanda? Is there anything else you want to add?
I think it feels bountiful and beautiful, and just your closing and will be complete. So thank you.
Okay. All right. So let's bring our hands back to our hearts, tapping back into this incredible, potent power that we've activated today by rooting into Mama Earth beneath us and opening up all of our energy centers, expanding our heart, planting the seeds of our dreams and intentions, and celebrating what has already been created and blossoming, celebrating the amazing work we have already done, and honoring the blossoming of that now in our lives as we set the sacred intentions for what's next, for the next level of our experience, of our joy, of our service, of our expansion, with healthy boundaries, guarded sacredly like the nettle guards itself, but is of such service, has such a potency and power in the world, can heal all kinds of diseases and issues that we face and sicknesses, but does so because it has this protection of its sacred growth. And just as we must, as priestesses and goddesses and healers and light workers and mothers and women on this planet right now, guard our sacred growth so that we can be of service from a place of fullness, calling in that energy that we cultivated today, and the energy of the sacred spring equinox and the full moon, the super moon that is today. So much potency, calling and respecting and honoring and saying thank you to all that we've cultivated today, placing our hands on our hearts, blessing that seed that we've planted in the earth, and taking a full deep breath in, knowing that it is already so, that there's nothing we have to do or change or make happen, that it is already so, just like nature is cycling with pure natural abundance and beauty, so are we. It is already so, and so it is. Thank you, goddesses.
Thank you. That was so beautiful. And thank you to all the beloveds that were here with us today. We're so, so grateful to share sacred space with you. And thank you, Laura. And please feel free to reach out to others if you have any questions.
Thank you, Amanda. It's such a joy to lead with you. I love you, sister.
I love you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
I'll see you in Ireland.
Bye. I look forward.